Having fun. Tuesday kind of feels like a Monday for the long weekend. Shout out to last week's show. We ended with our diamond dig. That was a lot of fun. Pastry perfection. You guys nailed it again. Neil Allen Fine Jewelry. You guys did the same. Great to do another diamond dig. Now we're on to our Blue Ice Vodka 5 o'clock video segment. What's going on to everybody watching on our YouTube channel, Mike Prater, and whole lot of stuff coming on with Boise State basketball and Blue Ice Vodka.
I'm not sure where I'm supposed to start with that one. Let's start with Boise State basketball. By the way, I have a cool Blue Ice Vodka story from the weekend.
Let's just start there. Let's start with the vodka talk.
It's Monday. I guess it's after 5 o'clock. I know it's Tuesday, but I was in Sun Valley. The Blue Ice Vodka. The word is getting around, and we appreciate Blue Ice Vodka. Idaho-born, Idaho-bred, real Idaho vodka with Idaho potatoes, water, huckleberries, everything you could possibly want, and even distilled right here in the state of Idaho. The word is getting around, Ballgame. And every year, or every time I go to Sun Valley, and I was in Sun Valley this weekend.
Nice.
One of the first things I always do, or one of the last things I always do, is I go hang out at Ernest Hemingway's grave. And I have a little ritual, and I showed up at this time and did my little ritual and hung out and sat there underneath the pine tree in beautiful sunshine, looking at Bald Mountain. And as I walked up to his grave, there's always money, there's always food, there's always cigars, there's always mini bottles, cigarette butts, playing cards, fishing hooks, all the things that Ernest Hemingway loved. And Ernest Hemingway loved his booze, and there's lots and lots of booze. So I walked up. Blue Ice Vodka.
No.
I am not. I even took a picture of it.
God, Prater, that must have been such a glorious moment for you.
I took a picture of a Blue Ice bottle of Blue Ice Vodka on Ernest Hemingway's grave, and I just kind of sat there and looked at the sky and counted my lucky blessings, and I was very happy about that. So if it's good enough for Ernest Hemingway, it's good enough for you.
Cool. I'm just going to say this, too. Had not been for Mike Prater and Idaho Sports Talk and our relationship with Blue Ice Vodka, I might say you wouldn't have seen that on Ernest Hemingway's grave. So, Prater, you could even take a little bit of responsibility from that view as well.
It was the only bottle, by the way, that wasn't opened.
Because they just got there, too. So people go there, you thinking they take a shot on Hemingway's grave and they just leave it on the tombstone. But you open it up a little bit, take a little swig and set it back.
It was a full-on bottle. And I looked at myself, and probably younger, stupider, dumber Prater probably would have taken the bottle. Instead, I took this from Ernest Hemingway's grave, but the Karma Police is alive and well, and we left it there, took a picture, but I thought that was my favorite Blue Ice Vodka. I'm going to send the picture to the CEO and say, hey, look what we're doing here in Idaho.
No, that's going to be a big picture. Good stuff, Prater. Yeah. What you've done for Blue Ice Vodka probably can't associate what you could have, would have, should have done for Boise State basketball, Prater, because this team, Friday night, they're up 31-9 in the first half to UNLV. They end up losing, and it's just this team. Like, is that a serviceable explanation now? If you're like, hey, what happened to Boise State hoops last game? Well, it's this team just kind of being this team. Is that your answer? 208-424-9300. Because we just want to ask you guys, what went sideways with this team this year, if anything at all did? Mike Prater, let's have some fun with this one. Sideways.
Which is a good movie, by the way. Is that the one in the wine country? Is that the one in wine country?
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's like with what's his face?
Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah, that's a fun movie. What went sideways? I got three things here. One, they're not very good. First of all, you said Leon Rice or something about if I was in charge of basketball. I actually think Leon Rice is coaching his ass off this year. I really, truly do. And you guys know me. For 15 years, I've beaten up Leon Rice for a lot of different reasons, and I can still figure out plenty of ways to beat up on Leon Rice. But I actually think he's coaching his ass off, guys. I really, truly do believe that. Is it okay that he's still fiddling with lineups? Is he okay that he's still doing this and that? Maybe not this late in the season, but I think he's grinding. He's looking for answers. And for me, and I'm not anywhere near the basketball expert that anybody else in this building is by not even close. But for me, it's about defense and an NIL era. I'm not sure you're always going to get defense, even when it's promised, like it was with Dylan Andrews. We were promised a great defender in Dylan Andrews, and he's okay. He's nothing great. I think the individual accountability with this basketball team leads to poor defense, and I think half of Boise State's losses are because of poor defense. They're doing a lot of other things really, really, really well. They're rebounding. and the free throw shooting and the offense. It's all first class and it's all great. But I also think that they have some inconsistent shooting issues. And I also think that they have some serious deficiencies when it comes to guard play. And when I see guard play, I'm talking about more than just launching the baskets like Dylan Andrews has. I'm talking about distributing the ball. Don't forget 6 weeks ago, Leon Rice said his point guards have, quote, no clue. That was a word that came out of his mouth. If you look at the turnover situation, if you look at the ball distribution, if you look at the assists, if you look at the play at the top of the key when they're not shooting the ball, they're really struggling up there. They're really struggling with defense, and they're inconsistent shooters. Those three things to me are the biggest issues why this basketball team is really struggling right now.
Offense, defense. I mean, this has been a defensive program. We played clips of Leon Rice saying that earlier. And you say, this is, I don't know if you said it's his best job, but you said Leon Rice is coaching his ass off with this
100%
team.
by that.
Like, they have that record. It would have been worse had not Leon and this staff been Leon in this staff.
Well,
potentially.
I don't know what about. I'm not playing the what if game here. I mean, he's the one that put this roster together, and this roster is not working. So ultimately, there is accountability there. But in season, during the last 2 months, I think he's really grinding, really working his ass off, trying to search for answers. And I'm just not sure the answers exist. I think at the end of the day, this team just isn't that good.
I think that there's a lot of stuff that Prater said there that I would agree with in terms of the in-season job that Leon Rice is doing here. I think he's certainly trying to extract every last pound of flesh out of this roster because, yeah, the reality is maybe this team isn't that good, and he's trying to pull some rabbits out of his hat, and they were starting to play better there the last few weeks before Friday night. But by that same token, and Prater hinted at it, he still put this roster together. And so you have to also look at this staff and say, because for me, I think the biggest problem is the mental makeup of this team. Pearson Carmichael on Friday night saying that their minds defensively were just focused on other things.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense has been a problem for a while. And guys, I feel like, I don't know who first said it, but you hear a lot of guys say defense is a mindset. And if you're going to be bad defensively, then a lot of it maybe has to do with the fact that you're tuned out or your effort on a nightly basis isn't good enough. And yes, that can reflect poorly on coaches, but I also just think it reflects negatively on these players. Not enough dogs on this team, I don't think. Not enough guys that are going to kind of crack the whip on their teammates and light a fire under somebody's butt. And I also feel like, in addition to the defense and the effort kind of ebbing and flowing, I don't think this is a very athletic team, and I think that also negatively impacts your defense. UNLV had the one long kid that had a couple of big blocks on Friday night. I think maybe that's the biggest roster makeup problem that they had, was that I don't get the sense, because Drew Fielder, I don't look at him, he's a good player, but I don't look at him as an elite athlete that's going to wow you with dunks offensively or block a ton of shots. Clearly, Dominic Parolin is not that. So I think on the interior, they don't have a menacing presence inside that's going to rack up 10 to 12 rebounds a night and block a ton of shots. And I think that probably also negatively impacts their defense. So I don't think they're long enough. Prater talked about Dylan Andrews not necessarily being as good of a defensive guard as we thought. I think it's a combination of not enough length and athleticism, and I don't think the effort has been good enough on the defensive end of the floor either.
Yeah, I mean, that's fairly well said, although I'll come back and say they're the number one team in the Mountain West in rebounding. They're the best rebounding team in the Mountain West. So when you say length, I'm not sure I buy that. I think there's plenty of athleticism on this basketball team. Part of my problem when I say they're bad on defense is part of what you were trying to say, I think, as well. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. A rim protector, a guy that can get up there and block shots. They can rebound. And maybe a lot of that has to do with just smart guys like R.J. Keene, who's always going to pad your stats with great athleticism. But they're the number one rebounding team in the Mountain West. I think they might be dead last in block shots, though. That's just because the rim protector, the guys that can get in there, and for whatever reason, there's a difference between rebounding and the art of rebounding. And R.J. Keene's written that book. He's really, really good at the technical side of it, the science of it, the angles, the geometry, all that nonsense, as opposed to just being a dog. And I totally believe what you said. And that might be the number one factor for me. And I just didn't use that word. This team has no dogs. I said it has no leadership.
Yeah.
I think it goes to a whole nother level. And I'll buy that word, Greg, all the time. This team has no dogs when you get down, when you have a 23-point lead to go out and try to protect that 23-point lead. And when things get scary, I don't see any leadership on this team whatsoever.
If we're wrong, tell us. Call us, 208-424-9300 on the Taco Bell hotline. What is it with this team? We're asking you, what went sideways with this team? Maybe the answer is nothing. This team is who it was. And I heard Leon earlier on this show. We played a clip from his earlier press conference, and Leon said, and I quote, regarding UNLV, they made some athletic plays. I read into that. I read between the lines there. They made some athletic plays.
One kid.
Right?
One kid.
But Boise State didn't. Yeah. And I think that's Leon, again, saying, hey, this team isn't athletic enough.
Do you believe that?
Yes. I absolutely do, Leon. I
think
the
Mountain West, what you see this year? Are you serious?
Oh, Boise State, you think they're one of the more athletic teams in the league?
No, but I don't think it's a detriment. I think the athleticism is okay.
I think that's what's hurting this defense. They don't have athletes. You talked about the block shots.
Yeah.
I'll even throw you this. How about this? There's 365 teams playing Division I basketball right now. Boise State, out of 365, they rank 353rd in steals. They're
dead
the
last.
Ball away.
They're dead last in the Mountain West in steals and in turnover margin.
And blocks, too,
Goes back to the point guard play I was talking about.
And that's right, exactly. That's the point about defensively, not enough length on the perimeter to get hands in passing lanes and steal balls.
Exactly.
Well, maybe at the perimeter, that you didn't clarify that. I'll buy that. But I don't think you have to have great athleticism to be a great defender. I think you have to be a dog, going back to Greg's word.
Maybe I'll say both too, but you're right.
I've tried to criticize this team every possible way I can. And again, I'm not a smart basketball guy. I don't buy the fact that this team is struggling right now because they're not athletic enough, especially in this Mountain West.
So that's not an issue for you.
For me personally, I think this team is perfectly fine athletically, especially compared. Now, UNLV had one great athlete who had. Well, he's had more than just one great night. He's done this at least a couple of times to Boise State and other opponents. But, UNLV had one great athlete on the roster. I don't think Boise State's athletically deficient. I
would say UNLV had 6 athletes that were better than any of Boise State's athletes outside of Dylan Andrews.
Wow.
Outside of DA.
Wow.
I mean, Andrew Meadow is not going to go win a heptathlon.
A month ago on this show, we did a segment saying that Andrew Meadow was the best player on this team.
Maybe that's where it went sideways. I don't know, but we've never talked about Meadows' defense being a big part of his game. We just haven't. He's a scorer, but
it wasn't a problem last year when the team defense was.
It wasn't a problem last year when they had other guys. You had Omar Stanley as a rim protector last year. I know he had a down year, but defensively, he was still better than what they have now, in my opinion.
Here's my problem with the just. You're not blind, but like the bottom line assertion that, hey, they're just not good enough. Dylan Andrews is a 15-foot jumper away that's half down from them winning in Viejas Arena. They swept New Mexico, who is a team that still might end up on the NCAA tournament bubble. So there's clearly talent on this team.
And athleticism.
And to some extent, sure. But my problem is, if you can't show up on a consistent basis, and that's why the biggest problem for me is the lack of a dog or dogs, because if you aren't going to bring that on a nightly basis, where the team that beats New Mexico twice and comes right down to the buzzer from down 25 against San Diego State or whatever it was, if that team's not going to show up every night, then that is a mental problem with these players, and that's them. Now, and Leon Rice said this on Friday night a couple of times. He said the reason that they lost the game, in his opinion, was that they did not step on the gas when they were up 32-9, and they allowed UNLV to get it within 10 or 11 at halftime. And then all of a sudden, UNLV's looking up at the scoreboard saying, we got our ass kicked the whole first half, and we're right in the game. That is a problem with no killer instinct, where you don't kick them where they're down, you let them hang around, and you paid the price on Friday night.
That's a bunch of dudes, and I haven't seen it a lot. I saw it in the Utah State game here, but that game was ugly and got out of hand, and a lot of things happened there. I can't wait. Well, I hope I don't see a repeat tomorrow night. But I see a lot of individual play. And again, that goes back to the NIL. If we got 3 or 4 dudes out here making $500,000 or whatever it is,
they are.
I see a lot of individual play, and a lot of guys protecting their best interests and protecting their best assets, which to them is them. It's a you thing. So I don't think that that's a big problem. I've seen bits and pieces of it there. But I see a lot of individual play, and maybe that comes back to the Tyson Degenhart. I don't think Tyson Degenhart was really a dog, but he was an intense leader, a great leader, a respected leader.
Yep.
Yep.
Smart as hell.
A glue guy who was going to get things done on the court. So, they missed that. They missed that an awful lot.
I was saying too, and you guys used the term dog, and I like that. Maybe this is thing, but I talked about this a couple weeks ago too. I don't see a tough guy. Like
it's the same thing.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I don't have a tough guy on this team. Dom Parolin, is he the tough guy on this team coming off the bench? I mean,
stop it.
Yeah, I don't know. 208-424-9300 asking you what went sideways with this Boise State basketball team this year. And hey, there's 6 games left, Prater?
Sir,
still plenty of time. Start tomorrow.
Plenty of time for what?
To get this to beat Utah State.
Plenty of time for the road to 11-9 in the Mountain West.
Yeah, plenty of time for what?
When
are we going to stop assuming this team's going to get out of this funk?
Yeah, maybe
plenty of time for
too.
what?
Plenty of time to play its best basketball going into the conference tournament, which is all you can do. There's no postseason with this team.
Good luck with that.
And I don't even think they'd want to go to an NIT or I don't know. Maybe they would, but nowadays, once the season ends, the portal's going to open, and dudes are just going to be gone.
They're 15-10, dude. They're going to be 18-13
overall. Yeah,
and that's not going to get you in any postseason.
Probably not. Probably not. You're right. Maybe some CIT stuff, CBI stuff, and they won't go to that.
And they won't go.
You're right. There's no way they'll go to that. 208-424-9300. Good conversation here. What do you have on the Cloverdale Plumbing text line? Boise State men's basketball tomorrow against Utah State. Here we go. Prater on the ball game. How about the Daytona 500? Not necessarily the race, but the reaction. You had to have seen in some way Michael Jordan celebrating his team's Daytona 500 championship yesterday. MJ winning the Great American Race. How cool was that to see? Prater on the ball game. KTIK the ticket.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studio, this is Ticket Traffic.